I want to share with you the deeper psychology, the truth behind what's happening with Epstein, with Weinstein, and the many more Steens and other people that will come out of the woodworks in the coming years and who have come out of the woodworks in previous years who maybe didn't get any spotlight. But seeing what's going on and seeing as so many people are starting to see what's going on, it can be quite painful. Not for them, because obviously they are protected in many ways, but for you, seeing this crime take place for many years going unnoticed or untreated, many people being associated with these criminals getting away with it. You can get angry, reactionary, emotional, but that might be what they want because it makes you easier to control, easier to spin narratives. It's how you channel that anger, that energy that matters. And if you become attached to something, you become attached to flat earth, to UFOs, to anything that is released or shared or you research, it's also easy to put yourself in a box. And so these traps are set up for you, but you often trap yourself. And the path to navigating all this is mastery, it's continual self reevaluation. Because all these external things, all these things we point to, all these things happening, that's not your own life. These are people we don't even know, right? Your confusion, waking up, seeing the lack of action for arresting criminals, your sickness of seeing a corrupt system and nobody doing anything about it, it's necessary and expected, but you have to move beyond it. See, when people talk to me about individuals and it's important to look at them, I'm like, well, what about the, community and coming together? When people talk about anger and how it's necessary to feel this frustration, I also talk about what about love and opening ourselves up to other people. There's always this nuance in this contradictory type of ideology that really opens us up. It's beyond ideology because ideology is often restrictive, right? It's based on one extreme or another, or it exists because of another ideology. And so when you study a lot of ancient texts, when you study a lot of the higher truths, the reason why they're called higher is because they're beyond dialectics, they're beyond divisions, and they're beyond duality. Some people will even call it non-duality, right? But what you find is paradox in ancient teachings, not so much logic, because paradox can display a greater wisdom. That is understanding things to a deeper sense because systems, boxes, frameworks, sciences, religions, governments, they don't like flexibility or nuance. They don't operate as such. One day we might have flying cars and there goes all the traffic laws, right? AI is challenging all sorts of copyright laws. It's going to happen. This is reality. Change is just natural law. But yet, these systems need flexibility and nuance to survive for themselves. So they're going to spoon feed you, this little bit of nuance and some of the things you want to hear. And that's how they keep their power. And it's you falling back into that slumber where you say, okay, they trust me. I trust them. They're just like me. Oh, yeah, they care about me. That makes you easier to control. And so these psychological mechanisms, and there's many, are employed on you and they prey on you and your needs especially. And so you have, all these releases happening and oh my gosh, they care about transparency, they care about us, but it doesn't matter because they create the problems that they then solve. People talk about the border, people are talking about all sorts of, like these problems exist because you have these government systems that control mass amounts of people that are founded on slavery 6,000 years ago in Sumeria. People don't want to hear that. But yes, all government is slavery. In its historic origins, it's always been and always will be. They've changed the terms. Leo Tolstoy, one of the greatest writers of all time, told us this. And you might think I'm crazy, you might be totally new to this perspective, but I encourage you to look into it. I wrote a whole book about it called Slavery Gone for Good. I'm willing to give it to you digitally for free if you're interested, because I'm not in this for profit. I'm in this to empower humanity. Because the last thing they want you to understand is that you own yourself, okay? And by they, I mean opportunists, because that's what they are, okay? These people have no power without you. The last thing they want is disobedience. You just saying no. Yeah, you can become a sovereign citizen. Yeah, you can vote. Yeah, you can change the law. And guess what? That's still not you saying no and just standing on your own humanity, your own principles, which goes beyond, again, all the mental artificial blockades that they often created. right? Left versus right versus libertarian versus anarchist. It's like this doesn't exist in nature. In nature, there's just human beings, and we don't treat each other as humans when we're treating each other as ideologies, as identities. And that's why it's so dangerous when we have these psychopaths. By the way, highest concentration is in Washington, D.C., because it's no surprise. People who seek power are psychopaths, and good people don't want power. Psychopaths like Epstein, like all these people, they're given power. Cult leaders, they're just opportunists, and they are psychopaths. Sometimes they're formed into even greater psychopaths, but that all happens because you're giving them power. And so even influencers, right? There's plenty of influencers out there. Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, all these guys who talk about the problems of the world all day. They can do plenty of things, but they're also spoon feeding you. And why are they doing that? Well, for money. You're gullible. They know that. Or they don't have much courage. They don't know the real action steps. They think all they can do is spread awareness, and they're doing something, right? And at least they're doing something. Sure, at least these people who are signing paperwork are doing something. At least people who are passionate are doing something. Again, there's nuance there. But again, the very simple fundamental truths that you own yourself and that you should say no, and that everybody knows that what they earn, what they work for, is their own property, and that's being taken from them through the form of taxation, and that the government owns their own house, owns their own life, that just gets swept under the rug. Yeah, just don't look at that. No, don't look at the fact that they literally own you. Let's talk about all the symptoms and the manifestations of that. Right? What can I do today? What can I not do tomorrow? Oh, a certain plant is illegal. Oh, a certain beverage is illegal. What about the fact that you own yourself and you can decide what to do with your own body? That gets rid of the whole conversation, doesn't it? But that is a root targeting conversation that would dismantle the whole system. And so they created this system, and by they, I mean various religions, families throughout history, but it's we who continued it because we passed it down through our families. Just like when a slave borns a child, and by the minute they're born, whether it's a birth certificate or they're chained up, they become chattel slaves. Just because their mother and father were slaves, now they're automatic slaves. It's the same thing for you and I. We're citizens, they're citizens, right? So our families are pushing propaganda, superstitions on us through the generations, and we go along with it. We say it's tradition. We say it's the way it's always been. We say all sorts of justifications to keep doing what we're doing, not realizing, again, there's these fundamental truths. And then we make all sorts of justifications saying, well, not everybody's going to understand it. These people don't understand it. That doesn't make it untrue. And then we say, well, our country's better than this country, and this leader's better than that leader. Well, guess what? That doesn't make it true. And so we do all these logical fallacies to justify our own programming. And if you're following me right now, I hope you understand that you probably have logical fallacies. You probably have a bunch of superstitions and things that you believe in that you don't even know are true 100%. I mean, plenty of people in alternative media, claim to know about all sorts of things, whether it comes to medicine or science. And because they saw one thing as a lie in their life, they start looking at all these other things. I want you to stand on the things that everybody can agree with at the end of the day. And I know that can be hard sometimes because there's so much programming. And it's like, why is this really simple thing something so hard for people to grasp? But I want you to find that commonality. Find the soul in people. Find what brings us together rather than drives us apart. Find what doesn't cause semantics and arguments. And then, find a way to open up to people in a way that's loving and peaceful. It's so easy once you first wake up to everything to get angry, to get passionate. And it's beautiful to see. It's like your humanity coming to light after being in the matrix. But I'm telling you, you cannot stop right there. You have to continue in your evolution. If you don't, you're trapping yourself. And so I want you to be careful. This is the deeper psychology behind a lot of what's going on in the world. And very few people talk about it. Mainly because it's psychology, it's philosophy. It requires you going inward. And a lot of the religions, the governments, the systems of our world want you looking toward them. Even if it's a religion, it's like, yeah, I want you to go inward, but you have to buy my course so you learn how to do that. You have to follow me so you learn how to do that. Really? That's interesting. There's always this medium in the way. Oh, you want happiness, you got to get money first. Oh, you want this, you got to get this first, and then you can have that, right? What if the truth is all around you presently right now? And you just have to see it.